Support WrestleTalk!
It is Extreme Rules horror show, Extreme Rules, scary, spooky, multiple. This is the worst name of a pay-per-view I think ever, apart from Great Balls of Fire, obviously. It's really bad. It's horror show, Extreme Rules predictions time. I'm El Fakador, Laurie Blake. Didn't do that very well. I'm El Fakador, Laurie Blake. I'm joined by Ollie Davis, Luke Owen. And Denise Salcedo. So we're going to jump right in. As ever, if you want to join in with our predictions competition, the Wrestle League, all you got to do is become a pledge hammer on Patreon, and you can join in competing against us to see who is the best at guessing what WWE will do. Let's kick into the predictions proper, though, with Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins. Eye for an eye match.
So I don't actually know yet who I'm going to pick to win, but I know that the loser, I think, is going to be written out of WWE for quite some time. And not just because if you have an eye extracted from your head, you probably should sell it for a while.
No.
Rey Mysterio currently has no contract with WWE. That is a very precarious position to be in. So this could be WWE's way to write him out. Apparently, back at Money in the Bank and the whole Seth Rollins feud, the genesis of the feud, one of the reasons behind that was WWE were hedging their bets. If he re-signs, fantastic. He's got a feud with Rollins. If he doesn't, this is a way to write him out. And Seth, on the other hand, has a pregnant wife to think about. Surely he's not going to be around for that many more months. And this could be a good way to write him off TV, where he should be, if he chooses to self-isolate with his wife, Becky Lynch, of course. So, or fiance. They're not married.
They're not married yet, no.
Gonna have to do an apology tweet to Seth Rollins now. Out of those two, I think I'm gonna go with Seth. I'm gonna go with Seth loses, and then he can come back in a few months' time, or even next year, with the eye patch.
Well, it's like Snake Plissken.
Like a Nick Fury thing. It's like the mystery. Maybe they do it off screen, and the mystery is how did he lose his eye? And then you're like, well, you never know for ages and ages. And then 10 years down the line, you're like, it's a cat. It was a cat the whole time. I'm going to go for Seth winning here, because I think I would build into Seth retiring Rey at some point to really get that big push. I did also originally think maybe Seth loses the eye, but then uses his Messiah powers to grow the eye back magically in the time that he's off.
So I'm definitely going for Seth Rollins winning here. And so first of all, this stipulation sounds so gory, but I'm intrigued by it. I can't help but to be intrigued by these types of stipulations. Although I do think that it's going to hurt the match, because I do think that they would have had a better one-on-one match. I mean, Rey Mysterio, Seth Rollins, they would have had a hell of a match. I think the big factor in this, like you mentioned, was that is Rey leaving or is he staying? We don't know. But I do think that it's a lot easier to have Rey cover essentially both his eyes now, because he already has one covered. But it's easier for him to have his eyes covered than it would be to see Seth Rollins with the eye patch thing. I don't want to see Seth Rollins with the eye patch thing at all. So I am definitely going for Seth Rollins here. And I also think that maybe Dominic will turn on Rey during this match. I don't know.
That was going to be my pick as well. I'm going with Rollins with the Dominic heel turn. Dominic joins the Messiah group.
Denise, a lot of yours was about props practicality of it'd be much easier to hide Rey's
think about
eyes.
it. I mean, I get it. He's doing the Messiah gimmick. It'll probably look cool, but it's gonna look dorky, I think.
Just give him the Sin Cara mask, I guess.
Exactly.
That would
There
solve
you
it
go.
completely. You can't see the eyes in that at all. Right, the next match is Asuka versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship. Now, obviously, Asuka was gifted the belt by Becky Lynch, wrapped up in a nice lunchbox. Sasha and Bayley are the current women's tag team champions, and having taken them from Bliss and Cross, who took them from the Kabuki Warriors. So Banks and Bayley are better than the Kabuki Warriors, but Asuka is the Raw Women's Champion. That's just a fact. Yeah, I know. So who is going to win this? I mean, this whole match is kind of rotating around the notion, I think, that Sasha and Bayley are heading to SummerSlam to face off for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Well, Banks versus Bayley makes the most sense for SummerSlam. It does, but I just like them so much together as an act. I don't want them to split up. And what I really want to see is Banks win and have them as like this dominating force across two brands, with Banks 2 belts and Bayley 2 belts, and then Banks being Banks 2 belts will fuel Bayley's resentment towards her because she should be the only one that's got 2 belts. But that could also, like, Bayley could turn on her at this match. Do you know what? I'm going for an Asuka retention.
Oh, the safe pick. You coward. You absolutely...
Well, okay.
You chickened out there, Luke.
I'm going with an Asuka retention via Bayley interference because Bayley doesn't want her to be... She doesn't want to be... doesn't want someone else to have 2 belts.
You absolute cop-out waste of space predictor. Anyway, I want Asuka to win. Ollie, who are you going for?
I think it would be a really interesting story to have all the belts on Banks and Bayley. And maybe they will do that and get the belt off Banks. I just don't think, if you want that heel face dynamic of Banks versus Bayley to work with Banks as the baby face, I think it's undermined somewhat by her also holding a title. So I'm going to say Asuka.
I think definitely Asuka, and I definitely think that today at the show they're gonna do it to plant like major seeds for their SummerSlam match. So I definitely think Bayley is somehow gonna cost the match for Sasha Banks, and therefore Asuka will retain her title.
We've all got Taylor Swift.
What's up? I'll just move then to the side since I don't know how to do the background.
I'm gonna let you finish, Laurie. I think Banks Asuka should be the main event. Oh my God, what's happened to Luke?
That looks exactly the way the Cats movie was shot. Half human, half cat.
I've never seen the show. I am a cat. That's how the song goes, right? I'm a cat, I'm a cat, I'm a little tiny cat.
Sing memories.
Memories. I'm a cat with some memories.
Okay, so then the next match, building off of Banks and Asuka, let's go with Bayley versus Nikki Cross for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I think that Bayley wins here to retain the SmackDown title, but this sets up a title shot for Bliss and Cross down the line. And then I would have them lose the tag team championships to Bliss and Cross on SmackDown at some point as another part of the furthering of the feud for the SmackDown belt somewhere. So yeah, I'm going to say Bayley wins.
Definitely Bayley, and I actually think this one will be the opposite, whereas I thought Bayley would be costing Sasha the match. I think this time Sasha will actually help Bayley's in some sort of way win this match, and so it's going to be like they're offering 2 totally different things in this friendship that's essentially going to lead obviously to their match at SummerSlam. So definitely Bayley.
I'm going to go for a Bayley retention too. I think it's quite predictable, but I am really into watching it, mainly because of the great work Nikki Cross has done. I'm so into her. I'm so glad she's got this shot, even though it is kind of like a filler feud in the larger Banks-Bayley story. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching Nikki wrestle.
100% Bayley retains.
Not even a glimmer for Nikki Cross there in Luke's prediction. Not even like she doesn't even get offense in. This is how Luke is.
It's going to be a squash match. It's going to be squash match.
Although character-wise, she's been absolutely killing it. Like each and every single week that she comes out, she gives us something to talk about.
Yes, but she's no role model.
All right, so then we've got Apollo Crews versus MVP for the newly minted US Championship with the shiny new belt that Apollo's not seen hide nor hair of yet.
Apollo Crews retains here to set up Apollo Crews versus Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam.
MVP should not be winning any championships right now. It's 2020 and he works great as Lashley's mouthpiece, and that's what I want to see. So I'm going to go with Apollo Crews, and that's final.
MVP wins.
Oh,
yes.
What?
No.
I went there.
No.
MVP and Bobby Lashley. That's why MVP deserves something. He is a legend. He should be in the Hall of Fame next year, headlining the class. I genuinely think him and Bobby Lashley have been one of the best acts in WWE in the last couple of months. The CEOs of the Hurt Business. MVP is consistently the best thing on Raw. I want MVP to win, and I want a dejected Apollo Crews to join the faction. MVP wins. Screw you all.
I'm going to go with Apollo Crews because I'm on the same train of thought as Luke is. I think this is going to set up a match for Bobby Lashley later, and Bobby Lashley with the US title is the one that you want to see. Let's next do Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt in a Wyatt swamp fight. Cinematic match, I'm imagining. They're not just going to...
Oh, yeah.
I'd prefer it if they just chucked a load of mud in the ring and went, that's your swamp. Off you go, lads. See what happens.
This is the real women's evolution.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just going to start making the men do all the gravy matches that the women were made to do 20 years ago.
Next week, Sheamus and Jeff Hardy in a bra and panties. Yeah, I'm interested to know who you think is going to win, but I also want to know what you think this match is going to be like.
All right, so first of all, because it's a cinematic match, it should definitely enhance the match. But I will think it will be shot a lot closer to the Boneyard match versus some of the versus like the street fight that we saw. It's non-title, so because of that, I do think that Bray should be winning.
I think because it's non-title, I think that gives Bray the option to win, and then you set up the third match for SummerSlam where Bray comes out as the Fiend. What I think is interesting, and like I'm not sure, I'm wondering if this is just going to be beating each other around a log cabin, and then someone falls in some mud for a bit, and then like rises out of the mud with all bits of like greenery on them, like their swamp thing or something. But Bray did a horror story ages ago for WWE's YouTube channel, and this was called The Man in the Woods. And he described this creature in this like short story that he was telling, basically. And this creature had like pale white skin, long yellow hair, yellow eyes, and everyone's gone back to it after the Fiend debuted and been like, that's the bloody Fiend, isn't it? When they were talking about that match where the Fiend and Bray Wyatt would appear, but like in the Firefly Funhouse match at WrestleMania, I think this is one where Bray and the Fiend both appear on screen at the same time, and the Fiend emerges from the woods as the Man in the Woods to help Bray Wyatt beat Braun Strowman.
I'm Laurie. I researched Bray Wyatt's character for an explained video. Look at all the backstory and lore that I know about that Ollie can't quote off the top of his head.
Just shows how little of that video you quality controlled. When you were like, I'm watching it, it's really good. You watched a minute.
Yeah, I watch on double speed. I think Bray Wyatt wins here to set up the title match at SummerSlam. And I want the shot of like sort of like the Apocalypse Now shot where he emerges from the swamp but as the Fiend with those yellow eyes.
What if everyone's just popping up from the water? Like it's like Braun has a go, Bray has a go, he gets dunked, he comes back up. It could be like the Matt Hardy bit from the Stadium Stampede. Bray just comes up as all his different characters, and then Luke Harper's there for a second.
Eric Rowan's still under contract, isn't he? No, it would have expired by that point.
Oh yeah, expires on like Friday or something. Or if you're struggling to get Eric Rowan because he's under contract, just get his brother, because he's probably still under contract.
I liked it, Luke.
Thanks, mate.
Why didn't anyone else laugh?
Sorry, I had one of those quite quiet laughs. So
it was a fucking solid joke. I actually think Braun wins here. Like, I know it makes sense for like Bray to pick up the win to set up a match at SummerSlam, but I think Braun beating Mr. Rogers Bray and old Bray, which means he has to bring out the Fiend in order to beat him. That's like the last bit of, that's the only version of Bray that can win, apart from Sister Abigail, perhaps. So I think.
Stop bagging on about Sister Abigail. It's not happening. That died a death when they saw that shot. When they played that shot back to themselves, and they were like, oh, that wasn't good, was it?
Yeah, that was rubbish, that. I'm actually going to say Braun wins. Even though I'm an idiot because clearly Bray is winning.
Well, I'm excited to see how they're going to make this one different from the eye for an eye match, because obviously they're both going to have that, cinematic approach. So it's like, how are they going to balance it out and make a difference? That's going to be really interesting too.
Loads of special effects in the eye for eye match. I imagine when the eye actually comes out, it would be like the end of Raiders, where the guy's face melts and it'd just be like his eyes coming out. Rey Mysterio has turned to a soup. This is what is left of Rey Mysterio. Please drink of this. And Dominic then drinks the sort of fluid of, I won't say fluid, he drinks the sort of goop that was Rey Mysterio and then takes all of his powers. Let's do
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
to wrap things up, let's do Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler for the WWE Championship with a mystery stipulation that Dolph is going to reveal at the show. So, I mean, Drew wins, right? But as our bonus question for Wrestle League, let's say that the bonus question is, what is the stipulation for the Dolph Ziggler Drew McIntyre match? So Drew wins, sure, unless you think Dolph wins and you're crazy. But what is the stipulation?
The fun, stupid answer would be the Kennel of Hell match, given their shared past in the Dogs of War faction with Braun Strowman. But I think just the way it's been based so far, which is, Drew, you left the company, you quit, you walked out on your dreams, that sort of tired copy and paste motivation they've done before. I think the only stipulation that makes sense for that is an I quit match.
Or I've got a terrible suggestion.
Go on.
I think it's going to be Dolph is going to ban the Claymore, and so he can't win with the Claymore. That's how Dolph is going to mind games his way out of this. Drew can't use his most powerful weapon against him, and if he uses it, he gets DQ'd and Dolph gets the belt.
I'd do like a Drew McIntyre is hogtied stipulation. That's what I'd do. Like, just tie him up and then roll him over on his back and pin him. There you go. That's done.
Dolph will still lose.
Yeah.
I went with a whole different train of thought. So because I feel there is absolutely zero interest in this match, I figured that the only thing to add any sort of interest to it would obviously be the stipulation. So with that, I was thinking a ladder match, just so that maybe some minds will be like, oh, well, now that it's a ladder match, maybe, just maybe, Dolph Ziggler has a chance. So
I'm going to steal Ollie's answer and say an I quit match. I think that's really good. Before we get out of here, I've got one last thing, and this is actually just for Denise. So let me see if I can show.
I knew something was coming.
Yeah, so we're going to play a little game, Denise. It's called Did Tay Tay Say Say? The internet really loves Taylor Swift, as does Denise. Taylor Swift has been attributed for many quotes in her life.
So if I fail, I'm just going to look really bad.
Yep. So often these quotes don't actually belong to Taylor Swift. That seems to be something I've noticed on Instagram quite a lot when I've been frantically Instagramming Taylor Swift, seemingly. So some of these quotes are from Taylor Swift. Some of them are not. What I need you to do is tell me, did Tay Tay say? To me, fearless is not the absence of fear. It's being completely unafraid. To me, fearless is having fears, and that was from Taylor Swift. Maybe.
Yes, it is from Taylor Swift. It's from her Fearless album. She has a whole explanation on the album booklet where she describes the meaning of
Denise.
Okay. Yes.
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. Which I think is the lyrics to Bad Blood.
No, definitely not the lyrics to Bad Blood, but I'm going to go ahead and say no, this is not a Taylor Swift lyric.
You
a Taylor Swift quote.
Correct. This is a quote from Scott Hall.
Is it really?
Yeah.
This Hall of Fame speech.
They say, I'm insane. I say, thank you very much. And then I think the song goes, ooh, 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 hee, something.
The answer is no.
No.
Even though she does use the lyric insane in several of her songs, I'm going to say no to the quote.
It was Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Oh, God. The pressure's high, man.
It is high. Okay, this is, we should love, not fall in love, because everything that falls gets broken. Absolute poetry, because Taylor Swift totally said this, right?
No. Taylor Swift, no.
She did.
What? No, she did not.
What kind of a fan are you?
What?
Honestly,
This is the shock. This should be the thumbnail.
This is it.
What? Hold the phone. I need a source here. Where did she say that?
I have no idea where she said it. I just Googled Taylor Swift quotes, so maybe I've fallen into the trap of my own creation. Google this one. This one's a yes, because we've played this game before. This one. So you think you're untouchable? Which I'm pretty sure Taylor Swift said when she did her acceptance speech for whatever this triangle is that she's picking up here.
Only yes, just because I feel like there's more to that, where she has gone off to say like, oh, she's explained her situation in the music industry and how she thinks sometimes certain things are a certain way, but then they're not. Yes.
I mean, she might have said this, but actually this quote is from the music industry. But it's
Damn.
woulda, it's basic thugonomics.
All right, never mind. I'm done on that one. And I was going to say no, but I thought it had more. I was like, maybe there's something that was after that I would have like remembered and stuck in my head.
Okay, that's it for What Did Tay-Tay Say? Well done, Denise.
Oh, the pressure, man.
I think you got all the ones that actually were Taylor correct.
Yeah, I missed one apparently, even though I don't believe it.
Well, that is all we got time for on the Horror Show Extreme Rules Predictions. There's too many words in the title for that pay-per-view. WWE need to trim it down. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please leave us a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave us a comment letting us know what your predictions are. And click the button that's appeared on screen to become a pledge hammer on Patreon and take part in Wrestle League, where you can compete against us in the predictions competition. I've been El Fakador, Laurie Blake, joined by Ollie Davis, Luke Owen, and Denise Salcedo. Thank you very much, guys. That was Predictions.